Pune, India. Uh, I
Wow.
just I've just joined Evolving in Education last month, and I'm very happy to do so. We share a similar vision and mission as well. I've been in the education and learning domain for about 20 years now. I have my own consultancy, and I'm also working on the concepts of cognitive balance and something that I call satisfaction economy. And I'm hoping to bring those principles out into the way we do things, not just learn.
Nice. Lovely to meet you. I'm just
Thank you.
taking down notes. That's why I'm looking at the side, writing down who everybody is. Thank you. And Hoda?
Hi, I'm in California. And let's see, I've danced on the edges of education by working for a nonprofit called Trust in Education that made sure that children in Afghanistan had access to private tutor, not really private tutoring, but it had to be undercover school because children weren't allowed to go to school. So we funded the parents to make up for their children not working on the streets, making money. And so anyway, I have 3 years with that nonprofit. I have two family members who are educators, and I've seen and heard firsthand how difficult their life is and the lack of support. One of them, it was so bad she actually retired after just 3 years of teaching because there was no teacher support whatsoever. My background is pretty varied. I was an IT manager. I'm not very technical myself, but I was an IT manager at AT&T for 11 years, managing software development projects and teams. And I was also the owner of my own catering business because cooking is my passion. And then due to life situation, I became very adept at counseling people on nutrition, diet, and lifestyle, including mind-body work for cancer.
Amazing. Thank you, Hoda. Thank you for joining. Thank you all so much for joining. Okay, I guess at this juncture, if it's all right, Claire, I'll turn it over to you and you can go ahead. We'll have an open discussion after your presentation.
All right, great. Can you just give me permission to share my screen, please?
Apologize. I guess I'm just going to make you host if that's all right with you, because I thought I had it set up where you could share, but all right, so you are host, Claire.
All right. Okay, so welcome everybody, and thank you for giving me the stage to present School of Humanity to you. So just as a little bit of background, School of Humanity was launched in 2021, and initially as an after-school program. So we started off running summer school programs and 6-month after-school programs, and then in September 2022 we launched the high school, and I'll tell you more about that as we go through. So there's quite a lot of information I'll share now, just to really kind of try and explain our model, which is really very different. We're a breakthrough online high school, kind of paving the way for alternative progressive education. So this is a quote that I really like because it really captures what we're trying to do. So we're trying to educate students today so that they are prepared to solve future problems that have not yet been identified, using technologies not yet invented, based on scientific knowledge not yet discovered. So, it's a huge unknown, and we need to be preparing our young people for that reality and ensuring that they have the skills that they need to navigate that changing future. So a little bit about School of Humanity. This is our team. Our team is mostly remote. So we've got people from all over. I'm based in Chile, David's in the Philippines, Chelsea's in the UK, Izzy's in Serbia, just to name a few. And then we have a concentration of the team who is based in Dubai, which is where Raya is. Raya is the founder of School of Humanity and the CEO and principal of the school. So she's based in Dubai, and so we've got a hub in Dubai and a concentration of staff there, but otherwise the rest of the team is spread out around the world. So just to give you an idea, and our mission is to enable the next generation to create a purposeful future for themselves and for humanity. And the vision is to reinvent our global education systems to better serve humanity. So the way that we do that is by tackling real world challenges. I'll talk more about that a little bit later, about what a challenge actually is. The learning journeys are personalized, so learners can choose which challenge they take. They can choose which personal project they want to work on within the challenge. They can decide which skill units they want to work on to help build the skills they need to work on their challenges. They're developing skills for the jobs of the future, so that we have weekly sessions that really help them, develop the skills they need. They collaborate with learners globally. Of course, it's a global program. We have industry mentors who join our team for each challenge. So we look for mentors who are aligned with the challenge specifically. So I was just saying that one of our challenges this term is understanding minds. And now we're working with a neuroscience specialist and a psychologist. So because we've got a big group, we're splitting them into two. But yeah, just to give you an idea that we look for people who are aligned, who can mentor with content expertise. And then we also develop flourishing skills for a meaningful life with our flourishing curriculum, which again, I'll talk more about a little bit later. So we currently offer a high school program. So it's essentially for progressive families looking for an alternative to traditional high school. It's a full-time online global high school. We currently have 48 learners from 15 different countries. We've got 2 cohorts and 2 time zones. Last year we started with 20 learners, and we just had 1 cohort, which was a little bit of a difficult juggling the time zone. So we had 1 learner in Chile and we had another learner in the Philippines, for example. So the time zones are like 12 hours apart. So it was just about doable. But as we grow, we're increasing the number of cohorts and also increasing the time zones so that the sessions are at a more reasonable time. So we also offer a summer school program. That's an intensive 5 to 6 week program. This year we had 85 learners from 31 countries in 3 cohorts for that summer school program that we ran in July and August. So we've currently worked with learners from 53 different countries. That's including all of the summer schools that we've done. So we've run the summer school 3 times. We've also run 6-month after school programs, which we do still offer, but we offer when they are associated with a school. So as opposed to offering it as a program that we run, we sometimes collaborate with schools to offer the 6-month program as well. We've got a hub in Dubai, and we've also got a hub in Bristol that just launched in September of this year. So just a few things, just how are we different from traditional high schools? In addition to what I've said already, instead of rote memorization and exams, we are based on projects. We really focus on skills and mindsets and behaviors. We don't have grades, so we don't focus on exam scores. We're really focusing on mastery. So learners are developing their mastery as they work through the curriculum. We have a flexible, our synchronous sessions are at a fixed time, but learners can plan their week according to how they want to organize themselves for everything that's asynchronous. And it's personalized, and of course the mentors I've already talked about. So we have a curriculum which has been designed by our team of learning architects and learning designers. So it's called the Human Literacies Framework, and we have identified 8 literacies which form the foundation of the framework of the curriculum. So that's the flourishing, discovery. Flourishing I'll talk more about in a little bit. The discovery is everything that's science, connected to science. Society is what it sounds like, really looking at everything, anything to do with politics or things like that, or constructs, things like that. Thoughts, kind of philosophical thinking, analytical thinking as well, creative thinking, or critical thinking. Creativity, of course, anything to do with being creative, but also with problem solving and innovation, that all fits into creativity. Technology and emerging technology. Action is anything to do with communication, like verbal communication or writing a report, written communication, things like that. That all comes into action. Community work, things like that. And quantitative is anything to do with kind of mathematical thinking. So that everything that we do, all of the any assignment, any project, any basically any work that a learner will work on, they will be accumulating credits in these different literacies areas, and that those credits go towards their mastery transcript. So the mastery transcript, are people familiar with the mastery transcripts? Do you know what this is? Has anybody heard of it before?
I have not. No.
No? Okay. All right. It's brilliant. It's a basically, instead of having like a final report card with a GPA that kind of shows, you know, for maths you got 80% or whatever the grades are in the GPA. I think it's up to 4, is it? I'm not sure exactly how it's done, but instead of having a grade for a discipline that you've worked on, in the mastery transcript, it's all to do with skills that you've developed and showing mastery in a skill or not. So either you've attained mastery or you haven't, and you're building towards it. So it's very much to do with personalized and self-directed learning, and it allows learners to progress at their own pace. It shows that it's very much the growth mindset. So you're building towards, and it's very, I'll show you in a minute, like a visual, what it looks like. But it shows what you're working towards. So the skills that you've already attained, and then those that you're working towards, or subject material. So this is what it looks like. Now this is from a first year, one of our learners at the end of their first year. But you can see it's very visual. So we've got the different literacies reflected here. Where there's a solid line, it means that they've attained that. Where there's a dotted line, it means they're working towards that. That's the skill that they're working on and building. It's in progress. As we move through the years, the learners will be working towards an advanced credit, but we haven't got there yet because this is at the end of the first year. So in the first 2 years, they're working on foundational credits, and then they move across into the advanced credits. And down here, you can actually see there's like a key which shows you the actual areas that they've been working on. So community service, they've got evidence of that. So there's a little key there. There's a triangle. Philosophical and existential inquiry, it's in progress, and so on and so forth. And then what they have here is they actually have curated evidence. So it's a portfolio which shows evidence of everything that they've stated here. So it's like a portfolio that supports what they say. So it's not just I can do this, but I can do this, and here's the evidence that shows you what I've done. And the learners are very much involved in that whole process. So they choose the work that they would like to evidence in their portfolio. Currently, the mastery transcript is recognized in over 300 universities. So it's becoming more and more recognized. We do though, as a school, we do also do a conversion to a GPA if that's what some learners might require that or might ask for that. So we do have a way of converting the mastery transcript into a GPA if the learner requests it. So I'm going to tell you a bit more about the learning journey. It's challenge-based learning, which essentially means that it's an approach where we have big, broad themes that provoke a lot of essential questions, so a lot of interesting questions. And building on those questions, the learners will explore them and then kind of decide on an area, on something that they are particularly interested in, as something that's triggered their curiosity, to work towards building a personal project, but something that's based in the real world. So it's not hypothetical, it's something that they've identified as being a problem statement that they found, and then they work to build a solution on that. So some of the challenges that we run, so in the high school, we run 1 challenge per term in the foundational years. So at the moment, they're working on understanding minds, they're actually not highlighted here, but Understanding Minds and the Future of the Internet, Media and Democracy. So for the 2 cohorts that we have, they in each cohort they've been offered the choice. So we're running both of those challenges twice, if that makes sense, for the different time zones. And the learners can choose if they want to do the Future of the Internet or if they want to do the Understanding Minds one. And it's the nature of it is interdisciplinary. So that means that within the scope of that broad theme of a challenge, learners will explore, and guided by their facilitator, they'll work through this and really explore it from an interdisciplinary lens. So to give you an example, the Designing Space Habitats Challenge, they looked at things like engineering, what sort of machines might they need in space, agriculture, what could they grow there, how would they do it? That's also bioengineering as well. Biotechnology they looked at chemistry, they looked at maths, at the geometry, you know, how to design a space to use it effectively, efficiently, what sort of materials would they need to use, psychology, what would it be like to be in a space rocket for 2 years to get to Mars, you know, how would that affect them, what would it be like to be away from family and friends, and so on and so forth. So they really explore it from using that broad theme. They'll explore it from many different perspectives, and all of these are helping the learners build their credits towards the different literacies. So they're all connected to the different literacies, and as they go through, and they'll be doing assignments based on different areas that they're looking at, then they are accumulating credit as well. So the way the term is structured is actually structured in a very defined way. Learners will begin by engaging with the challenge. So this challenge-based learning is actually divided into 3, like it's a framework that was actually designed by Apple. When Apple designed it, they were looking at an effective teaching framework or an effective learning framework. And they came up with this idea of challenge-based learning because they felt that it reflected what it feels like to actually work, you know, a real team when they are actually faced with a challenge. This is an approach that they would take. So it's very much based on kind of professional skills that the individuals need when they're working together to solve real challenges. So the first stage is engaging, and this is where we really do the bulk of the interdisciplinary learning. The engage phase is 5 weeks. I haven't put the length of the weeks here, but the engage phase is 5 weeks. That's where they are exploring the challenge. It's very structured, that phase, very facilitator led. They follow activities with the facilitator. We use a flipped classroom approach, so the learners will prepare the sessions before they join, and then that means the sessions are very interactive, a lot of discussion, a lot of debates, a lot of brainstorming, things like that. And then we go into the investigate phase, which is where learners will start to hone in on a particular challenge that they want to work on, defining their problem statements and kind of setting themselves up for the act phase. And the act phase is where they are, what it sounds like, that's the phase where they're devising the solution to their challenge. The idea is by the end of the act phase, they have not necessarily a working prototype, but a proof of concept. So something they can show, a product, an end product for the work that they've done on their challenge. We then do a micro internship project, and that's essentially to give learners a taste of what it feels like to work with a real organization and to solve real kind of issues or challenges that organizations need, like work on. We generally look for organizations that are closely aligned with the challenge that the learners are working on, and we ask the organization to set the learners a challenge, so something that they genuinely would appreciate help with. So essentially they're taking the team of or the group of learners into their team for a couple of weeks. It's very short, that's why we call it micro internship. It's just 2 weeks. So the learners are set the challenge, then they work on it for 2 weeks, and then they present their solution back to the organization, and hopefully have helped the organization to solve something that they really needed help with. And then at the end, we have a global showcase where the learners reflect on their learning journey. Well, during the week, they're reflecting on their learning journey. They're kind of updating their transcript, their credits, their portfolios, and then at the very last day of term, they do a showcase where they show their results. So in addition to the challenge, we have a number of other things as well. So I've mentioned briefly previously that they have skill units. These are a number of soft skills, hard skills. We've actually got a catalogue of about 40 or maybe even 50, actually 50 skill units. And the learning design team are building on these all the time. So the idea is that learners can really choose skills that they want to be working on, but also things that they have identified as being skill areas that they need to work towards the future that they kind of want, you know, the profession that they want to move towards, if they know. Otherwise, they're kind of just building on their skill base in general. We have the human flourishing. So this is a program where really helping learners reach their full potential, focusing on well-being, social, emotional learning, helping them prepare themselves for the future. Very much about, you know, growth mindset and building and growing and flourishing, and giving them a sense of purpose and meaning, and helping them explore themselves, their relationships with others, and just all of that kind of all encompassed, and providing them also with a toolkit to help them manage themselves essentially in their lives, you know, things like mindfulness and breathing, and how to cope with stressful situations and things like that. So that they have one session a week of that. The skills lab helps them develop skills they need for kind of basic skills to help them with their assignments. These are all weekly sessions. Pathway advisory, where they work with an advisor who helps them look at their portfolio building, personal branding, you know, preparing them for university admissions, things like that, exploring jobs of the future as well. The mentorship sessions I've mentioned already, that's once a week as well. And then the micro internship I've mentioned already, so I will move on. So we do have samples of the, you know, if you're interested, if you would like to look on the website, you can see that we have the showcase presentations in a gallery format on the website if you wanted to see some of learner presentations. So I invite you to have a look at that. There's some wonderful presentations there. The high school is on a rolling basis, so each term we accept new learners. Obviously the school year has recently just started, but learners can join at any point. Well, ideally not midterm, but usually at the start of either September, January, or in April. And I think that's the end. Yes. Okay. So yeah, if you have any questions, or, you know, we can chat about it now as well, but do note down my email if you wanted to reach out to me afterwards. And you can follow School of Humanity on all of the social media as well. And we're always happy for exploring ways to collaborate and ways to, you know, to grow and have bigger impact and all of that. So happy to discuss any of these points with you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Claire. That was awesome. So does anyone have any questions for Claire? Let's get the conversation going here. That was a great presentation.
Hi, Claire. That was absolutely wonderful. And I really, appreciate the work you guys are doing. You know, the first thing that came to mind, you started the School of Humanity just before the pandemic, where online education was coming to the fore. Is there a pace that you set for yourself, or is there some reason that it hasn't been accepted more in the last couple of years?
I mean, we started in May 2021, so it was after it was like mid-pandemic, really. But there is a trend. So generally, online education has been increasing. The trend has been increasing, but the pandemic definitely speeded it up. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I'm not sure what the question is. Why we don't have more learners?
Just about is there a pace that you set to get enrolled students, or has the acceptance been a little slow?
Yeah, I mean we've grown from 20 learners last year to 48 learners this year, so we've more than doubled. So that's, you know, we're happy with that, and we would like to continue that trend. So the aim is for 100 learners next year. It's yeah, we're kind of in that process at the moment.
it is a
Yeah.
conservative goal, so you guys are pacing yourselves.
Yeah,
One,
we're pacing ourselves. With the summer school, we have a bigger input of learners, more learners joining. So we had 85 in the summer school, and that as well, of course, we're aiming to grow. Everything that we do, we're very much an exponential organization. So everything we're doing is with scaling in mind. All of the systems that we're setting up, all of the curriculum, the way everything's working and running is designed to be able to impart it to scale. But yeah, it takes
so,
time to become known, I think.
yeah, the curriculum you've designed and the way it's being imparted is also very new, you could say, or not that well accepted. Um, how are the teachers that, or the cohorts that you're using? How are they trained on these methodologies and this particular curriculum?
Yeah, so we have a team of learning designers who design the curriculum, and then we have and the challenges and skill units, and then we have a team of learning facilitators. So the facilitators actually follow the curriculum, the scheme of work that the learning designers have prepared. So the facilitators really work very closely with the learners. They build a really good rapport. They have one-to-one meetings with the learners regularly to keep them on track. And in terms of learners, it takes a while for them to kind of learn about how the school is, the ways of working. We do have an onboarding program, an orientation program for the learners, which is a week at the start of the term, where we really kind of go through what the school is, what the mission is, what the human literacy framework is, what the must-do transcript is, etc. Pretty much what I've gone through now, but of course in much more detail, and really kind of explaining what it means to them. We'll talk about the different platforms that they'll be using. We have a learning management system, so we explain how to use that. It definitely takes them a while to figure it all out, but we've already noticed the difference this year because, of course, we've got year 2 learners this year, whereas last year it was all year 1 because we had just started, but now we've got these learners who have done it once already, and the ease with which they've slipped back in. And we've actually set up a buddy system, so they're kind of supporting the year 1 learners to help them get to grips with everything. And it seems to be working quite well, that system.
That's awesome. I love that multi-generational, that's very Montessori, you know, where the older students help the younger students, and that's very much what PJ and Be Real to You is doing, empowering others to empower others. So I have a question, and you may have already answered this. You said, I think over 300 or something like that, universities accept the mastery transcript, and if student needs, you guys can convert it to GPA. Would that be accredited for any college that the student would want to attend in the future, or?
Yeah, I mean, we're actually going through an accreditation process with WASC at the moment, with the Western Association for Schools and Colleges. So we're kind of midway through that. As a new school, you have to have been running for 6 months before you can start the accreditation process. So yeah, we're in that at the moment. So that's also one of the reasons why we started with our years 9 and 10 learners rather than going straight for the advanced years. So we've just been kind of accepting learners in years 9 and 10 with a view of having our school accredited before they reach that year 12, you know, getting that final transcript, so that when they do get their transcript, it is from an accredited school. But yeah, that does that answer your question, Amber?
Yes, that's very cool. Thank you. And encouraging. I love what you said about you guys do the flipped classroom. I believe it was you and I were talking a while back, and you said, or someone said that in other countries, you know, they do about 80% of the flipped classroom, and here it's the other way around, and supposedly that's a really beneficial way for students to learn. I know you guys are probably experiencing that. And one more thing is the overview effect. I love how the School of Humanity gave students the opportunity to experience the overview effect via virtual reality. If you're unfamiliar with the overview effect, it's a phenomenon that's experienced by astronauts when they go into orbit and they go into space. It's a feeling like it can be like a transformative feeling, transcendent, awe-inspiring. William Shatner went into space. He thought it was going to be the most phenomenal moment, most glorious moment of his life, but he said he felt sorrow. He had to go somewhere and cry because it makes you see the earth and its beauty and its how wonderful it is and how fragile, and you're out in dark space and you kind of connect with it and realize that all life on earth is fragile and we need to work together to protect earth and and each other. It looks like we have a question. Do you have any global collaborative partners? Do you see the question in the chat?
Yeah. Not so much global partners yet. We do have so we work with schools sometimes. We don't have like a global partner that we've worked with. Oh no, that's not true. We are supported by Education in Motion. Actually, they invested in the school and kind of supported us with the launch. And they also they're like an umbrella organization who have a number of schools that they support, such as the Green School Bali as well, or the Green Schools, all of the Green Schools. So we're kind of in with them and as a progressive school. So yes, we work with Education in Motion, but that's more on a kind of operations level. In terms of the curriculum that we impart, we don't have curriculum partners directly as yet. We do, like I say, partner with schools to run programs with them, whether it's the summer school or generally it's a one of the 6-month after school programs where we run that for the learners in that school. And that sort of thing we're very kind of open to and kind of actively seeking that kind of partnership. And I was just going to follow on with the talking about the overview effect. One of our mentors this term is Anahita Nizami, and she's worked very closely with astronauts. She's a psychologist, and her PhD was on the overview effect, and so she interviewed a lot of astronauts and kind of found out about this actual effect. And she's, having done her research, she started an organization called Earthscape VR, and she's creating virtual reality experiences to help people who obviously can't go into space. Not many people can go into space to actually experience it. And so they're doing kind of virtual reality experiences to help induce the state of awe that you get through the overview effect, which is very, very interesting.
That's wonderful. I'm going to look into that. Escape VR. Yeah, as soon as I'll
write it down. It's Earthscape VR.
Earthscape VR. Okay. As soon as I learned of the overview effect, I thought, oh, wow, well, everybody's going to have to go into space and so we can save the world and get everybody to get along and do what's right for the planet. And then I realized, well, that's not possible. Then I thought, well, I wonder if it could be simulated through VR. And then I learned from you guys that it can be. So that's incredible. Very incredible. All right. Dr. Anahita Nizami. All right, cool.
Yeah, look her up. She's on LinkedIn. She's really, really nice. And she's worked closely with Frank White, who is the author of the overview effect. He's the author who first coined the term the overview effect. And actually through Anahita, we've had Frank White come in and do masterclasses with our learners. He's also he set one of the micro internships for the Future of Space Challenge. So yeah, it's been really nice. Like, we do have really interesting people who join us for masterclasses. I didn't mention that actually. That's something that we run during the summer school program. We have one masterclass a week, and in the high school it's one masterclass a month. But where we look for somebody who's just doing really interesting things, or you know, from all walks of life, and we invite them to come and talk to the learners for an hour, and they present. And the idea is that it's very interactive, and they can, you know, generate questions and dialogue with the learners, and just gives them that opportunity to connect with with professionals and to kind of trigger their curiosities and inspire them.
Very cool. Let me ask you this really quick. Do you see what you guys are doing at the School of Humanity? Do you see there any fit for working that into public schools?
I think there's definitely elements that can be I mean that we've obviously created a whole curriculum, so that itself, the way we have the curriculum is very much for the high school, but the idea or the methodology of challenge-based learning, that is something that could be applied to any school at any points in any year with any age group. It's an approach in the same way. It's very aligned with project-based learning, and it can cover any part of a curriculum as well. So if you had like a particular science curriculum that you wanted to do as a challenge, you could do that. You just need to work out how to set it up, but that is something that can be applied in any setting. And we do actually professional development courses as well with schools, so we can kind of explain how to actually set it up in their schools. The things we do as an organization as well, we have a big focus on networking and collaborating and things like that, and that again, any school could be doing that kind of thing. And what other ones? The must-read transcript as well, that can be, any school could adopt that, but the whole school would need to get behind it and kind of change their systems to accommodate that. But it's certainly things that traditional schools could take on if they wanted to.
Wonderful. Yes, that challenge-based learning, could that be considered at all overarching or integrated learning?
I mean, it is overarching. That the idea is that it's a very broad challenge that you start with. So like the names suggest, understanding minds, it's such a big theme. Like you can break that down. Like they're looking at things like evolution and the biology of the brain and psychology and neuroscience and neurodiversity, things like that. So I mean, there's a lot of things that come under that. Yeah, I mean, that's very much overarching. So challenge-based learning, the idea is that it's you don't want to narrow it down. You want to keep it really broad so that learners can then identify what they are particularly interested in, and then they focus in and zoom in on what it is they want to develop as a personal project.
Wonderful. Thank you. Cool. Anyone else have anything?
I just wanted to make a comment from my where I'm coming from, and I haven't talked about this perspective yet, but I held my breath during your presentation until you got to the slide about human flourishing. Because if we lack anything in the educational system, it's having children not focus solely on their brain, which is only a small part of them, but on who they are and their heart. So I was very pleased that you have that in there. I think interpersonal communication is huge. Self-care is huge. There are tools to cope with stress and difficult situations that can be very easily taught that are totally missed. So that warmed my heart. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we have a head of flourishing and inclusion, and she's designed the whole flourishing curriculum, and it is great to see. And it's interesting. I mean, some learners absolutely love it, and others kind of a little bit more distant, that maybe feel that they're not there yet, or they don't need it, or but it is a kind of, it's part of the curriculum. They need to attend the sessions and their assignments that they have, or project work based on that, and a lot of collaborative work. And it is, yeah, it's a really important part of the curriculum, and it's actually built into the whole curriculum. So not just the flourishing sessions, but we try to incorporate elements of flourishing into the core workshops and the other sessions as well. So it's really an integral part of the program.
So Claire, you were mentioning that you're looking to increase the number of students this year. And you also mentioned that you're not really working with partners, but more with collaborators and mentors. Do you have any specific plans of having some of future plans for mentors and challenge-based activities?
I mean, potentially the mentors who we look for do need to be aligned with the challenges that we're running. So as we've been working with creating a database of mentors, so a lot of them which is really nice. A lot of them come back repeatedly. So we have, for example, one of the challenges that we run in all of the after school programs in the summer school, it's a really popular one, is the future of medicine. And we have 2 mentors who actually know each other, but who kind of between the 2 of them, they're always, one of them is available to work as a mentor on the challenge. And yeah, we have certain, they come back. So it's a really good sign that they want to come back and work again. It means that they're getting something out of the experience and they appreciate the value of it. But we're always open to new mentors, micro internship organizations we're always looking for. And partners, I mean, curriculum partners could be like, we're open to all forms of collaboration. So, if anything's coming to mind, please do follow up. I'm definitely all ears. Yeah.
And thanks for that, Claire. I was also thinking, like where you are promoting certain kind of skills like creative thinking, the change from the teacher attitude to the facilitator and mentor attitude is very important. How do you suggest what could help bring that about in public schools, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think the role of the teacher becoming a facilitator that's something that could be, but you have to have the resources and the framework set up to allow that. If you're teaching to an exam, is harder because you've got X, Y, and Z that you need to cover. And there's that kind of time pressure and everything. I mean, there's a lot of stress related to traditional high school systems. But the role, I mean, I think that's the beauty of things like challenge-based learning and project-based learning, is that the teacher does do that switch and they do become a facilitator. So they don't have all the answers, they don't have all the information. They're very much there to guide you and to direct you in the direction of, well, have you thought about looking at that, or what have you done up to now? And very much kind of inquisitive and the whole sort of Socratic questioning and getting learners to kind of reach conclusions. So they need to be skilled in that. They need to be good listeners. They need to listen to the learners and kind of carry out active listening. And they need to be resourceful as well and fluent with technology and know like where they can find or where they can direct learners to find information that they might need. Networking as well is great, because then you can reach out to people who might be specialists in certain areas. I think all it takes really is just training, or like professional development. Essentially, like any teacher can become a facilitator, but they need to be given the permission really, and like the time and the space to be able to do it. But it's not a huge step. I have found it in a project that I was working on previously. I actually started my own organization in Chile called Yo Invento, which was invention education, and we worked with schools in our local community. And that was a really hard switch for the teachers here, who are very much kind of open your textbooks and kind of very traditional old school ways of learning. And we were going in and saying, you don't need to tell them what they're doing, because they would be saying to the learners, right, you need to do this and you need to do that for their projects, but the learners should have been working on themselves and reaching their own conclusions. And I think it is quite a difficult step for a teacher who has been trained in that mindset of, telling the learners what to do, to take a step back and just let the learners lead. So it is a process. It's a process that teachers need to kind of switch into and train for and kind of get used to as well. But it's very successful, and I hope it's something that more and more teachers kind of are allowed to do that. Yeah.
I do too, Claire. And I think one of the important things to consider is also self-motivation of the teachers. And so I think they need to be, some of them need to be remotivated. The ones who are looking to change things around, they have the motivation. And if you have the motivation, that's half the process.
Yeah, I think the motivation and the support from the director as well. You need to have the whole school behind behind something like this, I think, and for the, you know, for the director to give the time for the professional development, or to block out a couple of weeks for a challenge-based, you know, project. Again, it doesn't need to be like we do it over the course of a term, but it could be a 2-week project where you kind of break it down and just do like an innovation sprint or something. But even that is valuable. You know, and yeah, you need the support from the whole school really to be able to do that, from the administration and the board and everyone.
Thanks, thanks, Claire.
Karanbir had a meeting with one of our friends from Australia that's doing great work with the teacher trust, and he had said that there's a huge, you know, like something like 20,000 teacher shortage, and he said that governments don't really want to talk about that, but you know, in Finland, the teaching is the most highly sought after profession. 10% of teachers that apply get in, and you have to have a master's degree to become a teacher. I would like to see where we're heading with EIE, with our teacher training, which, Claire, we're working together with Evolving Education and David and Luz and a bunch of other people trying to, you know, get the best teacher training we can. But what I would like to see with our teacher training is have it be where just any motivated individual who would like to become a teacher can embark on this training, you know, no prior experience necessary, complete this training, have it as concise, as engaging, as, you know, easy to digest and palate as possible, and have it where, you know, we just create a whole influx of dedicated individuals who are compelled to teach and inspire generations. Do you think that could be possible? I don't even know how teachers.
Yeah, I mean, what brings to mind, I don't know how that would work in kind of a more traditional context, but the idea of the micro school, I think that would be, is just totally aligned with that. Because are you familiar with the micro schools? So that those are kind of just small, especially home schools, where maybe somebody brings in like kids from the neighborhood, and they've set up sort of little school with like 10 learners from the neighborhood, and it can be transgenerational as well. But that would be perfect training, I think, for somebody who wanted to go about doing that. I don't know how that would work so much with a traditional high school, because they, you know, that's quite a lengthy teacher training program. But I don't know. Maybe it would. I think you need to try it.
We may need to bring in the mastery transcripts for the teachers.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I like that, the mastery transcripts. That's cool. So I have something I want to ask you. I saw something on, I believe, LinkedIn or some platform today about y'all's founder. And she's attending a panel or something like that. And one of the things they'll be discussing, and if you don't have any insight on this, that's fine. I just wanted to ask because it piqued my interest, is the rise of Dubai as a progressive education hub, positioning itself at the forefront of educational innovation. Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, because I'm not sort of in Dubai, but it is such a future orientated place. It's just everything is focused on the future, and the whole kind of royal families, and you know, they're very focused on preparing for the future, building the future, designing the future. And there's a lot of a strong concentration of futurists, so people who you know, their career is to be a futurist, so they're very much kind of focusing on the future. So it doesn't surprise me at all that they want to be kind of at the forefront of education and progressive education and change, or education for the future. Raya is actually, I mean, she's a thought leader on anything to do with kind of the future of education. So I'm not surprised. I haven't seen the LinkedIn post. I know she's been involved in a lot of conferences this week. It's what they call conference season in Dubai at the moment. So there's like every week there are conferences. But yeah, I can't really speak to it more than that. I don't know exactly where they're going with it, but if she's involved, then I'm sure there's the kind of model of what we're doing will be certainly a case study to show what is possible. We're not the only school who, certainly with the mastery transcript, there's many schools around the world who are adopting the mastery transcript. There's many schools doing amazing things. So we're not the only ones, but we're I think maybe one of the first ones to be doing it as a fully online program, and so fully global program.
Great, well, thank you. Okay, does anyone have anything else they'd like to add or ask? I know we're getting close to time, but I'd like to make sure we get everyone addressed if they have anything.
I just want to thank you, Claire, for taking time, preparing, and sharing out with us. I'm an administrator in a public school. That's my other role, and trying to make a change, make a difference. And like you, and just in a place of trying to understand where our educators are at and what are the fears that they show up every day with, because I was just connected with a gentleman. His name's Dr. Bill Daggett, and he's one of our leaders that's really driving nationally what's going on in the United States, and trying to understand that our kids are changing. They aren't getting their driver's licenses. They aren't dating. There's so many changes that are going on, and I know our adults in our building, like, these kids aren't the same, and they aren't. And so it's really trying to identify who they are, and I love that your organization is really trying to gear towards that from kind of young age and allowing them to become who they want to be. So thank you for all your work.
Thanks. It's been a real pleasure joining the meeting today, and meeting all of you and sharing with you. And yeah, please feel free to reach out at any point, and always happy to dive deeper into any of these points. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Claire. I really appreciate you coming and speaking with us. That was a very dynamic and awesome presentation. And I thank you all for joining. Anyone else have any quick question they want to end on, or let you guys ready to go? Don't want to miss anybody's input.
I'd love to save some questions for next time, Claire.
Awesome. All right. Well, hopefully you guys have Claire's contact and the School of Humanities information. If not, you can reach out to me and I'll be happy to get that to you. But again, thank you so much, Claire, and thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you guys again.
Thank you. Bye.
Take good care,
Thanks,
everyone.
Amber.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See
You guys have a
Bye-bye.
great day.
You too. Bye, Amber.